The five antagonistic players of the Indiana Fever are undermining Caitlin Clark, to be honest, entering her second season. Caitlin Clark was a major target in the WNBA and had a lot of interest from the league. For 2025, expectations were high. After an unprecedented debut campaign in which he led the league with 19.4 points per game. In aiding. Instead of taking off, the Indiana Fever has continued to be extremely unpredictable. Actually, this lineup has a few serious issues. Now, we'll examine the five players who helped shape Caitlin Clark's decline, starting with the most harmful player at the top. The five athletes who were allegedly engaged. Sydney Carlson comes in fifth. When Sydney Carlson was signed, the plan appeared simple. On February 5, 2025, by the Fever, to assist the younger players and keep the locker room organized, bring in an experienced veteran. On paper, she is that seasoned voice. On the court, though, she has been a ghost. She has only scored 2.5 points on average. Over the span of 28 games, he averaged 0.8 rebounds and 2 assists in less than 11 minutes per game. When conditions are tight, she doesn't often show up in lineups. Her game has entirely deteriorated at the age of 35. Additionally, she strikes me as shy when she engages in play. For a squad that relies on rapid cuts, quick ball movement, and quickness, her planning pace destroys momentum. Clark is most suited for guards who can make crucial plays, keep a fast pace, and shoot without hesitation. Carlson dribbles too long, hesitates on open shots, and makes late passes that impede the assault. Despite being a leader, she is squandering game time that youthful, enthusiastic players could be utilizing. The court. The fourth is Brianna Turner. Brianna Turner's predicament is even more irritating. It's not that she's having difficulty, but rather, it's because of the high standards set for her. Once a highly skilled defensive player, and Turner, a first-round pick, was renowned for his perseverance, energy, and shot-blocking skills. This player hasn't been observed. Season. In 14 games, she averaged an amazing 0.4 points, 0.9 rebounds, and 0.2 assists per game, despite only making 20% of the field-based pictures. She hasn't played for more than 60 minutes this year. Apart from being low. For a forward, these numbers are historically low. Turner must install sturdy screens for Clark, maintain the glass, and forcefully roll to the basket. Instead, she glides through possessions, hardly participates in defensive struggles, and can't exploit her size. It is evident from her body that she seldom uses defensive words, language from which she is detached. For a team looking to maximize Caitlin's time on the field, Turner's minutes are suddenly a waste. The court. Third place goes to Kelsey Mitchell. This one is controversial due of Kelsey Mitchell's scoring history. Since joining a league in 2018, she has been a bucket getter. She scored more than 18 points on average per game throughout the preceding campaign. This year, her average remains at 16.6. The problem is the fit, not the figures. The offensive is now led by Caitlin Clark. The team ought to emulate her playmaking as she moves the ball through her hands. However, Mitchell keeps playing like the starting guard by over-dribbling, retaining the ball for extended periods of time, and employing solitary possessions to create rhythm. Periods of time. When Clark has the ball, the Fever's offense functions flawlessly. The rhythm slows. As Mitchell takes control, the room gets smaller and the fan reactions on the internet cease. The team is going through a lot. More than the box score suggests because of her resistance to change, which is causing tension. Of styles. The plan is known to the defenders. Make Mitchell relax, calm down, and take the tough shots. She can make those shots, even though this team rarely needs them. This clash of styles is the primary problem. A ball-dominant attacker and a once-in-a-generation creator just don't get along. Mitchell is dissatisfied with the ball. She is not the catch-and-run threat you want next to Clark, and her defense is still lacking. Clark is compelled to assume leadership. She can't risk becoming ill after injuring her groin in July when rival guards follow her and exchange from other jobs. Additionally, there is the next contract as he gets closer to unrestricted free agency. Controversy. Rumor has it that Mitchell wants the highest salary. But will Indiana actually pay for it? When AIA Boston and Caitlin Clark are your pillars, you build around them. Defenders, shooters, and selfless role models, Mitchell still aspires to be the alpha even if it is no longer. Dyra Stantis comes in second. When Indiana signed Daira Stantis in 2024, the tactic became clear. To keep the offense open in the floor spacing, paint durability, and rebounding power should all be there in the 2025 WNBA Finals. But as of 2025, the impact hasn't caught up with the credentials. She averages just 5.0 and shoots less than 38% from the field. Points and 2.4 rebounds in a game. This is just too low for a forward who is supposed to finish inside and spread the floor. She turns gently. When things get tough, she completely disappears and has a slow transition defense. Timing is a crucial part of Clark's approach. When she drives and violates the law, she requires comrades who are ready to fire. The defense, Dante's pauses, and that little moment, momentum, rhythm, and a sense of community are all disrupted. Of doubt, on the defensive end, things are the same. Power forwards that can be switched. In the modern WNBA, guarding the rim and closing out are highly sought after. Dante struggles with each of the trio. Clark fills in the gaps left by heavy feet, late closeouts, and subdued communication. Regarding the drama in the she's hardly toxic in the locker room. She is toxic in a passive way, while younger, more enthusiastic players watch from. Minutes are recorded by an experienced player on the bench. Natasha Howard is up first. The largest is Natasha Howard. Caitlin Clark's system is under load. On paper, she was the ideal signature. A three-time WNBA champion. A well-known painter and former All-Star, in actuality, it has been a slow-motion letdown. Up to 2025, Howard will average 11.666 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 1.4 assists. Everything appeared solid at first. However, you then notice the repulsive element. She has lost 41% of the floor. For Caitlin, that is a warning sign. Clark's prospects as an arc-based forward. Short shots clanking off iron, missed putbacks, and bunnies that are missed at the rim have all become typical. Forwards with a reliable jumper or finish who can stretch defenses. Clark's strategy relies heavily on hard at the rim. Howard is also struggling. Her touch is everywhere. When she manages to move the ball, she avoids the hoop on pick and rolls, and avoids making forceful dives. Clark is under increased strain as a result of Howard's erratic behavior. Instead of being the dependable season presence that she was brought in to be, she was brought in to carry the momentum and the scoring. No point guard should be required to perform this task on their own. Defense is obviously deteriorating. In the past, Natasha Howard was a switch that could protect many spots, rotate swiftly, and be watchful in closeouts, locking up anyone who stood up for them without blinking. Nevertheless, the explosion vanishes by the. At the age of 32, she is being beaten on the first step. Her revolutions take place a bit too late. And she has awkward footwork. The guards assault without hesitation as soon as they notice that she is wearing. Instead of being a defensive anchor, she is now a defensive target. In this case, skill, closing thoughts, and outro are equally as significant as emotion. Observe her nonverbal cues, such her hunched shoulders, following errors, her unwillingness to go back to defense following misses, and her lack of response to teammates. Enormous plays during timeouts. She is hardly the seasoned voice that our young Fever squad needs. She is distant. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, never ceases praising her teammates and pointing out inconsistencies, and inspiring the team in spite of her injury. T is necessary to convey that degree of urgency. With Howard, it does this. The expectations are very different. The character of Howard was not presented. She was among the highest compensated veterans in Indiana and was expected to collaborate closely with Aaliyah Boston. Instead, she has become a hindrance. She wastes time that could be spent on players like Michaela Onion and Chloe BBBY, who slow down and obstruct spacing. The transgression. Players who actually run the floor, cut hard, and move with intention. Howard's tardiness in making decisions removes chances for development. Since Howard is too far behind, Clark will go after a convoy or cutter by applying pressure to the ball. She prevents simple scoring opportunities and allows defenders to regroup. If, instead of attacking, she resets after catching the pass, the possibility for waste is affected by these half-second delays in addition to tangible objects. Right now, Howard represents every problem with the system's unequal speed, erratic confidence, and production that isn't worthy of compensation. Clark drives and kicks, so she requires a ready shooter. When she requests a transition, she requires reliable help. When the huddle begins, she wants everyone to be heard. Howard hasn't provided any of it this season. This is a turning point in history. The most talked about participant in. There is a fever throughout the league, a large fan base, dominated by beginners. The perfect pick-and-roll partner for Boston. Is Clark. Companion. If she does, she takes away easy scoring chances and gives opponents time to regroup. Instead of attacking, catch the pass and reset. These half-second delays not only waste resources but also waste potential. Right now, Howard is a stand-in for all of this system's problems. Unreliable output. Inconsistent speed and inconsistent confidence. Clark drives and kicks, so she requires a ready shooter. When she requests a transition, she requires reliable help. She insists that all voices be heard. When the huddle begins, be heard. Howard hasn't provided any of it this season. This is a turning point for Indiana. The Fever are the league's most talked about athlete, have a large rookie fan base, and are the best option for Clark and Boston. But victory and hype are two different things. Point one must make decisions based on logic, rather than emotion in order to compete. If they don't get care of the problem, Indiana could burn up Clark's prime and possibly lose her entirely. Dead weight immediately.